Welcome to the Overheard Podcast, recorded live in Banff. My name is Daniel Ruda. With me always is my co-host,
Matty Rage. Let's go.
Let's go. Our guest today, we have Councilor Hugh Pettigrew. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, welcome. I appreciate the invite. And what a beautiful day. What a beautiful town we live in.
Oh, man. What a day. We're finally getting some summer. If it is your first time joining us, please do us a favor, hit the like and subscribe if it's your first time. We're going to be diving into more town council stuff, more Banff politics leading into the election, and kind of meeting the people behind the town council. I feel like a lot of people don't really know that they're humans sitting there in those seats at times.
I am human.
Pun totally intended. Absolutely. Before we get too far into things, let's cut to our Shaft ad. Check in with those guys. Big thanks to Shaft. You can find them right here at the Rose and Crown, which we're at. Big thanks to the Rose for having us once again. We'll catch up with you here in 20 seconds. Down to Townhouse Liquor or right here at the Rose and Crown and get yourself some drink. Shaft. They got non-alcoholic ones, especially for the daytime, or they got alcoholic ones too if you're trying to send it. So go get them. They will keep you fired up. That's for sure. Back to our guest, Hugh. Thanks again for joining us today.
Yeah, I appreciate the call.
We're going to dive in a little bit of Hugh's bio for people that may not know him. Hugh Pettigrew is a longtime Banff resident who has dedicated his life to building community, both through public service and personal connection. Fully bilingual in French and English, Hugh was born in Quebec and moved to Alberta at the age of 16. He started his working life as a laborer and equipment operator in sewer and water services before earning a diploma in civil engineering technology. In 1982, Hugh came to Banff to work on the twinning of No Ordinary Highway, a pivotal infrastructure project that sparked his love for the Bow Valley. Since then, Banff has been his home for over 43 years. He's built his family here, he's raised his children here, and has helped shape the community through decades of work and service. Hugh enjoyed a 35-year career in public works and the management of large capital infrastructure projects. Versatile in experience, he has held several senior-level positions in public works and engineering for local governments across Alberta, including 10 years with the town of Banff. He has extensive experience working with provincial ministries, federal agencies, and municipal councils, ensuring projects are backed by solid business case planning and deliver a return on investment. Elected to Banff Council in 2021, Hugh brings 4 years of dedicated public service and continues to contribute actively to community life. He currently serves as town councillor. Hugh was president of the Banff Royal Canadian Legion prior to and during COVID, and past president of the Banff Rotary Club. On council, he has served in a wide range of committees, including the Municipal Planning Commission, Bow Valley Waste Management Commission, the Assessment Review Board, Development Appeal Board, Governance and Finance Committee, council meetings, and public hearings. Hugh is passionate about sustainability and innovation. He's a strong advocate for waste to energy solutions and believes adding new tools to Banff's circular economy programs to reduce our footprint. He supports high community standards, ROA-based decision-making, and meaningful partnerships that serve residents and respect the environment. Hugh believes that strong communities are built by listening and leading with purpose. Hugh believes in building a better Banff, one that balances livability, long-term planning, and resident voices. Outside of his professional commitments, Hugh lives an active and joyful lifestyle. You'll often see the Hughman biking, skiing, hiking, backpacking, swimming, or even skydiving. Wow, that's pretty wild. He's also known for blowing a few blues tunes on his harmonica or walking through Banff's beautiful trails. Most proudly, he's a lucky and devoted grandfather. With deep roots, broad experience, and a heart for community, Hugh Pettigrew brings passion, practicality, and a vision to everything he does. It's only human.
Geez, I like this guy. Who is he?
Right?
Hey, listen, I'm just lucky. I mean, I've I'm 67 years old now, and I've had a good career in engineering, and I really want to bring back what I can. But I'm a regular guy. That's why I think I'm human, you know?
Well, I think that's kind of the whole point of not only this episode, but a lot of the episodes with our town council members is showing that there is humans up there in the seat. And it's easy to shoot off comments on the internet or to, call people certain things behind their back, where these are our community members in those seats, right? So Hugh, you've been in town for over 40 years. I thought we could start with why you love this place so much and what keeps you here.
I thought you'd never ask. Skiing, of course.
Yeah, right on.
But there's a lot of reasons to be here. I mean, this town is amazing. I mean, I took my bike out this morning from the garage, went down Cave Avenue,
Nice.
across the pedestrian bridge, go down, get a coffee downtown. Yeah, maybe a little prep for this meeting today. Woke up a little early. Beautiful sunshine. I mean, everywhere you look is beauty. What's not to like about Banff? But more importantly, it's the people that we meet here. It's the friends that we have. It's the people you work with. It's people you go skiing with. It's the people you meet, and somebody go for a beer. You go to Legion. You go to bingo. There's a community here. That's what I like about Banff, and it's a strong community. People don't realize it when they come visiting from overseas or different parts, and how strong the hub that we have here. And I think that's the most reason. The spirit in this town, and I'll leave it at that.
Absolutely. I would agree with you there. I think people see Banff as this like ultra transient place where people are just coming and going, but there is a strong base of community of people that do make this place home long term,
Yeah, think about Rotary Club. As a matter of fact, I have a plug-in for Rotary. We have a community event on September 20th, Saturday, between I think 11 or noon till 3 at Rotary Park. It's a community meet and greet event. So come and meet us at Rotary at the new park.
Yeah, the
on
Rotary
Banff Avenue.
That park is amazing now that it's gone up. An old coworker of mine, Dean Cooper, I think he's got a big part of the Rotary Club now.
He was the driver. You know what? That man has put a lot of effort in this. He should be it's great to see that much energy from anyone, certainly from Dean. Dean's been wonderful.
Absolutely. I would agree with you there. Big shout out to Dean. Over 40 years in Banff, what do you think is the biggest change that you've seen?
Oh my God, there's so many changes, I thought about this again when you asked me to come in here, if that come up. So, when I first came to Banff, it was run by the federal government. Mm-hmm. There was no town council. We had an advisory board. There was at that time, it was a school board that we elected for school board reasons, and we used to keep our own school board money in the valley back then. It wasn't gone to the provincial government and redistributed the way it is now. Mm-hmm. So these elected officials, some of them became councillors later on, were the grandfathers of incorporation, trying to set the tone for it. So the biggest change, I think, has been when we incorporated in 1990, when we became a town site within the province of Alberta. And it's very unique. We're in a national park. There's caveats on our incorporation agreement that makes Parks Canada the overseer of a lot of rules ahead of the provincial government. And we got to think about it this way. The federal government are our grandparents. The province is our parents. And we're a child of the province. And later on, I think we might talk about what are the rules we have to follow. And there's a lot of steps for us at council. It's not always easy to make a decision like this because we have all these groups that we have to satisfy.
Of course. Jurisdictional issues is definitely, we will discuss it later. I think one of the bigger misconceptions of people, and again, one of my own, since meeting with members of town council, hey, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Well, maybe those answers aren't super easily answered. But if you were to describe Banff's magic to someone who's maybe never been here, where would you start with describing Banff to someone?
Before getting to magic, I just wanted to plug in the fact that, there's been a lot of other changes in incorporation on the last question.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
for
absolutely.
a quick second.
Back to that, yeah.
We saw the twinning of the highway that brought a better road system. There used to be a single lane highway coming from Canmore this way. until 90, right? So,
No doubt.
now we have more traffic. I don't know, does it help? Did it work? But it's safety first, and it's a change. New convention center at the Banff Springs in that period of time, in 40 years. We had Mr. Sheila Copps come in and disengage us from phase 4 and phase 5 of Middle Springs, which would have not eliminated, but made a huge dent in our housing needs.
So is that so? Middle Springs was meant to be a
lot bigger, and then there was a challenge over. There was a lot of discussion back in those days. I think it was 95 or 96. Where we were looking at whether or not we would increase our footprint by another 3 million square foot or 800,000 square foot of new commercial development. And then that's when the minister came in and said, you're stuck at 300,000.
Oh.
And therefore, you're not going to need any housing. So we're going to reduce the footprint of Middle Springs too. But I think what was missed then, and it's still something we're fighting with today, is that shortage that was created that we knew existed back then. So I think that's a big change that actually didn't make us go the right way.
So I think that you think that maybe kicked off the housing crisis, or maybe
it didn't help.
Decision that led to where we are today.
I think it's a mistake that needs to be corrected at some point. My view. That's my personal view.
Well, it's like we've heard it multiple times. Like the housing crisis in Banff is not a new topic by any means. Like it's been going on for years and years and years, right? So,
I agree.
Yeah.
It's not new. The other thing that's a change before we go into the next question, if you don't mind that, seniors. Our last surveys are indicating we used to be a population of 6 to 8% seniors. We're at 12 to 13%, 12% now. So seniors are staying longer in Banff.
Right.
Residing longer or retiring in Banff or making it part of their lifestyle at retirement age. That have lived and contributed to the town. So, that's a change.
Well, one thing I've heard from my own personal experience talking to some of the seniors in town is the services for seniors are, I don't want to say inexistent, but maybe lacking in a sense where they're having to go get care in Canmore or Calgary. Like it makes me think of a gentleman that lives near me that I see kind of walking around all the time. And I've had a few chats with him, and he's seen, the town go through vast changes, and that's the thing. Like he doesn't want to leave. He's been here forever. Like
you have your doctor here.
Yeah.
Right.
You have your family here. You may have some friends here, people you go to coffee with. It's things that you do in your routine. I mean, I don't consider myself a senior yet, even though I'm of age. But I hang around with some of them to see what it's like. It's good, right? I mean, okay, I am a senior, but I'm trying not to act like it.
I don't think you're not giving off senior energy. I'll give you that for sure. But yeah, I think maybe that's one thing is as the population of our ages, right? Like I want to stay here as I'm getting older, and you kind of figure that. Like,
why is that? Is that because it's a sense of community we're having? So it answers the reason why you love Banff. Well, we're a community. We really are. Mm-hmm. And that should include everyone, and from kindergarten to seniors.
But I think it's kind of cool in a sense too. Like there's a community behind this crazy boom of tourism. Like as we've seen this summer, it's like there's so many people that come to town and have no idea what kind of lies behind Banff Ave. You know what I mean? Like people go, are those houses back there? You're like,
I had that question this morning.
This is where we live.
Where do people live? I said, we never. Oh, is that what those houses are for? Or I think there's it's pretty hard to be a tourist and come in and understand all that.
100%.
I travel quite a bit, or I travel. You got to really look for those things anyway.
Yeah, big time. Sorry, I got something falling off my. So let's bring it back to those people that are here just kind of visiting. How would you go about describing the beauty of Banff to someone who's never been here?
How would you?
I would start with just nature, wildlife. Like, if you want to be, like, we complain that it's busy in the summer, but there's an old gentleman, a senior, used to come sit at my bar back when I worked at, like, bartending behind the bar every day. And he would say, in the summer, as long as you walk as long as it takes for someone to smoke a cigarette, you'll be by yourself. It's like you can go to the Hoodoo Trail parking lot and there'll be 100 people there.
Absolutely.
But if you walk 10 minutes down the trail, you're by yourself, right?
Well, and the town doesn't roll out till about 10 o'clock. I mean, if you want to go for a walk in the morning early, the town's yours.
For sure.
Totally. I mean, you can walk your dog. You go over the Bow River Bridge. You can go for a dunk in the river.
Big time.
You can go to 40 Mile Creek. You can look up and see Norquay, the Mighty Quay, always the Mighty Quay. And then the light changes every day. I take photography. We all take pictures.
Yeah.
I like to do it from, it calms me down. It makes me focus on things. And I find that from the same location, it's never the same picture.
No, it's true.
I think that's what the beauty of magic is. And of course, the magic is that you can always count on somebody to be there for you if you need help. And this town is full of support for different reasons. And there's a lot of need for that.
Wow, yeah. I can think of a few times in my life where I was hitting some lows, and a couple of friends of mine really came through.
Mental health is still a big topic, and it's a huge thing that I appreciate what the hospital board, the hospital Middle Springs, and the community has done to bring that up to the table, because I think you see it.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes. I've seen it. I've been part of it. I have used those services before. They're always available 24 hours a day. If you are in any mental health crisis, you can always go down to the Mineral Springs Hospital in Banff and talk to someone there, which is
24/7.
Yeah, an invaluable resource. That's where I started my sobriety journey, and I employ anyone who's struggling to do the same. So
I think it's got a lot to do with just everybody here works in the service industry. It's crazy at times. It's like stressful as hell. You know what I mean? And then if you're just moving here, obviously you're going to go out for a few beers at night, which, you wake up hungover and you go to work. It's not the most enjoyable, right? I think it's just part of the demographic that we have here. Like, just the workforce here is so service industry.
Well, you work
right?
hard, and sometimes you play hard, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I think it's a big part of it is kind of that snowballing effect of starting with one or two after work, and then it eventually becoming, one or two after work all the time.
That's why Shaft Zero Beer, zero alcohol is the best, isn't it?
That's right.
Absolutely great place.
Oh, that'll save you in the morning for sure.
We mentioned in your biography, Hugh, that you've spent a lot of times on different committees, and different community projects. Where do you find the time, and what motivates you to be so involved?
I think all the councillors, if we're going to talk about that, are busy on committees. We all have a fair share of committees, and we all attend them. They're either once a month, once a week. It depends which group needs to meet for different reasons. But I think finding the time is a question of organization. Most of the stuff that comes across these, there's meeting dates and meeting times. Some are by Zoom, right. So it doesn't take too much of your day because you don't have to drive there. You go bike there, walk there. And sometimes the meetings can be short because there's not a lot of an agenda. So to be fair, it's not all that grueling. It's not like all like council meetings that go on for a whole day. True. But there's a lot of them, and there's a frequency to them. So you can organize yourself and play accordingly. And if you want to be prepared for something, you read it at night. Get ready. Find the time outside your activities. For me, it's important that I go out and do my activities, my biking, my skiing, and I'll go to the meetings in the afternoon prepared, or in the mornings prepared. But after that, it's my time until the evening, when I go back to the study books and prepare motions or whatever I think is required. And I think we all do that at the council table. I think everyone on the table is there for that reason, to dedicate and organize themselves to make the challenge.
For sure, because we have to tip our hat to you and everyone on the council. Like, there is a tremendous amount of work that goes behind the scenes to be prepared to talk about the issues that our town faces.
Council packages alone can be daunting. I mean, if you look at them online, sometimes they exceed 300 pages.
Jeez.
I mean, a lot of them are reports. I mean, there's executive summaries. You've got to read, and then there's correspondence from people that are sending you requests for issues that they think they have or concerns that they have. or they're generally looking for some help. And sometimes it's as easy as say, well, send an action request. Say, here's how you do it. You walk down the street, you get stopped. To be honest, when I go for a meeting now, I take an extra 15 minutes before I leave. Because sometimes people stop you for that long.
100%.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Being available to people in the community, I think is
Well, that's the job.
for sure.
Yeah.
Right? Does it ever get tiresome, like having to be on all the time?
If you make it part, for me, make it part of my daily life. I walk,
Yeah, like you allot time for that.
I
right?
just go down my street and I go do my stuff. I go to my grocery store. We all do, and you run to people, and sometimes you get a question and you say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And sometimes you say, "Well, just give me a call later. I'll talk to you later," right?
Yeah,
Or send me an email. So communication, it doesn't have to be dealt with right that spot, but it has to be an open door, and you have to be an open door.
Nice.
And I think everyone on council does a really good job of that. Like you can see it. We may not share the same philosophies, but we all have to drive to trying to help out what's in front of us. And I think you see that in how many hours you see this council working at. And there's a lot of dedication there from everyone. That I have to commend everyone on that.
Well, 100%. I think just back to like having different philosophies, I think if everyone shared the same philosophy, we probably wouldn't be in a very good spot. I think that's kind of the point of having discussion, especially on these topics, right?
Go ahead. I just wanted to, one of my biggest passion right now on committees, which is outside a little bit, is waste to energy.
Yeah.
I'm really passionate about finding some solutions that may help us with the toolbox of tools that we have for waste management, as an example. Because I think, if we're going to be truly circular and we're going to be truly finding ways to reduce, it takes time. So what do we do between now and then? How do we get to zero waste? Is it 20 years from now? Or is it 30 years from now? What tools can we use today that will actually eliminate some of the landfilling that we're doing? What other tools can we use? And there's a lot of them that the town's providing, but I'm trying to work outside the box a little bit.
Well, I'm kind of glad you brought that up too, because there has been some recent discussion online and in the news about waste management in our neighboring town of Canmore with the smell that's been happening.
Oh, okay.
Biosolids. Well, we have that too.
Yeah. We'll get it every now and again. So I think waste management, especially as our towns grow, not only in visitation, but in population of people, as businesses grow, we need more people to live here. Definitely an important topic to address moving forward.
Well, unfortunately or fortunately, I've had, even though that's not a council requirement, I've had a lot of experience working with waste management over my career. So I know my shit.
It's like I'm glad it's a shitty conversation. Almost to have it, but,
Okay, sorry I had to.
Yeah, that's great. What do you think would be the most surprising aspect of being on town council that maybe no one told you before you signed up?
How much reading there is, how much listening you need to do. People think that we do speeches and motions, but it's really about, and I may not be the best at it. I think nobody is the best at this, but we all try. I know I try. And if you listen to what's out there, then you have an understanding what the community wants. For me, I feel like I have a pretty good pulse from my perspective. An example of that is when we had this pet zone discussion.
Oh, right.
At first, I knew that when it was first being decided that the population, in my observations, I could tell it was tight, 50-50, I thought. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure I called it, but I certainly made a motion to try to get that identified to a plebiscite. Now, it didn't work. It took the public to do a petition and a vote of the electorate. So we all know what happened. But, those are the things that surprise you, is how much work that takes and how you have to prepare for those things.
And even, as a councilor, to try to implement a plebiscite and then have to have the townspeople vote on it, like that had to go quite a ways to be.
Well, let's just say it was an interesting topic. My perception is by listening, I could tell that it was a split in the community, and I think it was fair to trying to find out what the pulse was, and I think it was, regardless of the outcome, and maybe the outcome will be fixed later on. I'm not sure what a period of time we have to wait, but if some solutions come to enhance the pedestrian zone, I think we can revisit that at some point. But we need the other parts to be fixed,
Right.
the congestion part and everything else that's associated with it. To me, the people spoke, and that was very clear.
Well, I mean, I understand if I live on one of the streets that were, taking the brunt of all that traffic. Like it's an insane amount of traffic in the summer trying to go back and forth over the bridge, right? So you got to take one of two streets, and Link's not so bad, but on the other side where, it's all residential, that's a crap load of traffic that you might not usually see. You know what I mean? And it's only 2 lanes instead of 4 lanes, right? So it's...
Well, I think it's more complicated than that, too. I mean, to be honest, there's a lot of reasons why we get congestion, and the main reason is that we have too many cars in certain times of the year.
For sure.
We have our capacity at 24,000. Should we put a cap on it is my next question, but that's for a different page of the topic.
100%.
What I'd like to say, though, is you're asking about what's surprising on council. I think it's surprising how tense it becomes. You get elected, say that for a first-time person elected, just for those who might be wanting to run. You get elected in October. And by the first week of November or second week, you're into budget review. You're into service review. And it's daunting because it's 3-4 days a week sometimes because there's a lot of things to go through. Each department comes in and shows you the past, the future, and then there's discussion. So, and if you're a newcomer, it's a lot of information to process in a short period of time. And you're there for 8-9 hours sitting.
No doubt.
Just so you know, that was one of those things that surprised me when I first
That sounds
got
quite
elected.
difficult. Like, that's a lot of information to review in a short period of time.
It's an adjustment, right?
For sure. Almost like going back to school, council school. What do you think? We kind of talked about it a little bit earlier as far as misconceptions that the townspeople may have when dealing with the council.
Yeah.
I think one of mine, well, we already discussed kind of jurisdictionally of what the town can and can't do. Like, one of the things was we're discussing, what was it? Reservation system for parking. So say reservation system for parking. Well, the town cannot implement the reservation system for parking because they cannot limit people's movement. The town has no jurisdiction telling people that they cannot drive in the town because it's connected to Highway 1 and you cannot limit people's mobility, which of course, like, you can't go here, you can't go there. That's not what the government really does. National parks are meant for everyone. What are other issues that people maybe are ignorant to?
Well, I don't think anybody's ignorant to. What we have is we can't snap our fingers and make things happen overnight sometimes. There's some emerging issues that can be dealt with if it's an emergency. Again, that's up to our crews and our well-talented employees that take care of the day-to-day stuff. And sometimes there's emergencies. But for every decisions we make, they're layered. We have the federal government, we have the provincial government rules, and we have financial realities to attach with that. So we can't just snap a finger and say, we're going to do this tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. There's permissions, there's reports, there's some information gathering, and there's some consequences that we need to know before we make that decision. So just sometimes it looks, well, why can't you do that today? Well, there's a lot of reasons that can play in. Depends on the situation. So I just wanted to identify that as a misconception that we have the power to do everything. We don't.
Well, 100%. I think people, so why don't they just do this is a question that we often see, especially on this podcast when we're diving into these topics.
Yeah. Right.
And often like the biggest thing that I feel, like you said in your bio, like ROI and
return on investment
being a big thing in your decision making. What we encounter a lot when we're discussing these topics of why don't we do, say, like underground parking, it's always a cost issue.
Right.
I don't believe that we should be having cost issues. Like, we're the premier national park of Canada. We have, seems like, almost unlimited visitation and tourism. Like, why is cost always an issue?
I'm going to be very careful how I answer that because my personal opinions aside, we do have a $77 million revenue stream last year.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
It is.
Some of our taxes, like our taxes are closer to $30 million, and our fees for water, sewer,
Right.
other sources for grants, another 40 roughly. So it's not that we're short of money. I think we're spending a lot of money. The perception that I see is that sometimes when we are spending it, we're fairly rich. We still have higher needs, and we do have additional source of revenues like pay parking.
Right.
I mean, I'm an advocate to share more of that money to reduce the tax burden. It's obvious. I've tried and try again, and I may continue to try that because I think there's a direct relationship between pay parking and, say, Rome. And Rome causes a deficit, and it's over $2 million a year now, and it's going to approach much more over years as equipment gets aged.
And as it grows, too.
And as it grows, we get more, and we're hearing reports for more. And it's a great program. It's a great system. But at some point, why should the residents be caught with all the burdens of that? I mean, Rome does a great job at advertising. They great service. They've had some setbacks with some electric buses. That's unfortunate because it was a costly problem. It still is. So I'm not saying we shouldn't have a share of the cost as taxpayers, but I think there needs to be more of an eye on how that should balance out for the right reasons. And that's what I would suggest would be a good way to deal with it. But I'm one.
Well, it's a very good
The will
point.
of the council isn't there at this point.
Fair.
Makes sense. What do you, you're on council. What's our most pressing issue right now?
It's
that we're
growth.
facing?
We have growth. We have visitation increases, and it's the core of everything. I mean, the more people come in, the more employees you need. The more employees you need, the more housing you need. And right now, we don't have enough housing. And at some point, we're going to have to decide when is enough? I mean, last time I checked, I think it was 2019. The area of Banff, $1.2 billion to the Alberta GDP.
Wow.
Yeah, that's wild.
There's a lot of cash going through here, right? There's a lot of money. It's not as if we're hurting, but at some point we're going to reach capacity.
I mean,
At some point we're going to have to discuss it,
Right.
with some numbers, with some. I think the word prescribed was explained or discussed. Prescribing a number, say maximum number of cars per day in vehicles shall be X. I don't know that we're there yet either, but we should start talking about it a little bit more, about what would the parameters be, because I'm sorry, I don't see 100,000 people per day in Banff. We're over 40,000 people a day. At some point, we're not going to be able to service.
Right.
Well, that's it.
Right.
I'm asking you the question, I guess.
For me, my views on the whole thing, right, is I see it as maybe the businesses in town who are responsible for paying the majority of the tax, maybe more so than the residents, would not want a cap on visitation.
Oh, of
because
course.
why would you want to cap the amount of people that can frequent your business?
Right.
So maybe that trickles into that. But also is that there is, again, it's the limiting movement and access to the national parks. Like in the national park mandate, it's meant to be for everyone. So at what point do you say no? But again, there's examples of this in Lake Louise. There's examples of this in Waterton. Safety is always, I think, the issue that is brought up as far as Banff having multiple routes to have emergency vehicles come in and out. Again, with the pedestrian zone not being there this year and having Banff Ave open, I think is a significant step forward in addressing the congestion issues. I think whether you're for or against it, you can definitely agree that this summer was easier to get around in your vehicle. I would agree. I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's a good question. I think we need to start a discussion with that focus, and I think it will be. And the community plan is one area.
Yeah.
And it's coming back on September 8th, which is next Monday. It's the second public hearing on it, so I may have a chance to ask some more questions. And I certainly am planning to see how much of that we can figure out, because I think there's a lot of support to put a prescribed amount or to put a a number to some of these limits that we may have.
Right.
And if we don't have limits, how are we going to be able to know we're successful or not? And how do we implement it? How to do it properly? When do you do it? Is it all year? Is it certain price?
Right.
All these things, and there's a steering committee. There's movements there. It's going to happen, but at some point, I think it's becoming more urgent. Our 10-year our 10-year community plan should not be missing on items that need to be dealt with in the next 10 years. And I think that topic needs to be dealt with within the next 10 years.
You think it's being maybe a bit overlooked in the current
doesn't
plan?
Let's just say I think it's not overlooked. I just think we should be a little bit more prescriptive.
Okay.
And that's my opinion.
Well, I think there's definitely a need for that, for sure. If you look at numbers, there's no instance of numbers going down except for during COVID, which was still, I think, over 4.5 million during COVID, where a time where people were told not to travel.
And I don't want to sound like I'm saying cap people, because I mean, we have capacity for people still. I think the businesses should not be worried about that part. But the vehicle certainly is the first threshold that we need to address. And I don't think 30,000 vehicles a day is manageable to the expectations of the town of Banff residents at this point.
For sure, because let's face it, I don't want to say it's hypocritical, but it's strange to be talking about the concept of over-tourism in a town that's built for and by tourism, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
We're only 4 square kilometers. I mean,
yeah, exactly. It's like that's a lot of people in a small, densely packed space. It's just wild.
This may be a little side question. Do you guys ever, personally see a time where visitation goes down? Do you think people will ever have had enough of the Bow Valley?
I think this, like you said earlier, I mean, the beauty of this place. No, I certainly hope not. I mean, it's the desires to keep being a tourist town is there. You know, we just got to figure out how we're going to work with the maximum numbers, and what is that?
Well, I think that's a good point. The only way I see people getting tired of this place, and you can kind of already see it from the local quote unquote travelers, being the Calgary, Red Deer, Edmonton, the local cities or the surrounding cities. Like even the people from Canmore, I served people from Canmore a couple nights ago, and they're like, "Oh yeah, coming to Banff in the summer," like rolling their eyes in the sense of like it's crazy busy.
It's crazy everywhere. I mean, if you go to BC right now, it's the same thing. It's busy everywhere. It's summer.
Yeah.
People are enjoying themselves. People are traveling more into Canada because they don't want to cross the border. So that's good. I mean, it's healthy for us to have a busy summer. And I think it's okay. I think it's okay to have that little break after summer. I think I mean, you guys are working your asses off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's busy.
Okay.
I think we're there now. After the long weekend, usually tends to the demographic changes a little bit. Everyone's back to
dies down a
school,
bit.
so we do have some reprieve on the way if you've had a busy summer. So you would support a cap then?
I think we need to talk about it. I think we need to at least figure out limits. I mean, the future is now. If we can't wait 10 years, I don't think we can wait 10 years to start delving into more about the capacity that we have and what that is. It may be twice as much as we have today. Maybe that's our decision. I'm not limiting it today. I'm just saying we got to talk about hard numbers at some point.
No doubt.
Well, I think it's also a bit of a collaboration across multiple industries. Like I talked to someone who I think he's like, my uncle's in the rental car industry out of Calgary, and his fleet doubled in size in the last 2 years, and they're sold out every single day from beginning of June till the end of October even, right?
Wow.
So
the demand is there.
The demand is there.
And it's a good problem to have. It's a question of how do we do it, and so that we don't end up being, like you said, people are going to be tired of it. I think we need to make sure that we keep having a good. I think the industry, the people that are running these industries, that's not me. The people that are in the game, the hotel, motel, restaurants, retail, they're all doing a really good job at serving the tourists for what they want. It's excellent. But they come here, I believe that they come here to visit our park, to see the pristineness of it, and everything else. And there's a point in time where we don't want to make sure that we don't break that cycle. And that would be where I think people may start not coming. But I don't see that. I see this as growing for quite a few years. It's a question of how we manage it. And managing is the big word.
Right.
I would agree with you there for sure.
Well, speaking of managing, on to our next question. What are your thoughts on the current housing situation?
Oh my God, like we have a limited footprint in town.
Right. That's the thing.
Most of the lands have been used. We're just changed our land use bylaw, and it was accepted, and we are increasing the ability for developers to increase density, put more units per square foot or per lot. And with that came the decision to reduce the requirements for on-site parking. So that's a question mark for me still. I mean, we need to do it. We've done it. I'm not saying I totally not in support of that motion, but I would say we got to watch, make sure it's working as intended.
Right.
Because you and I talked earlier about how owning a car or not. I mean, is that the reality for long-term residents? I don't know. What do you think? Do you own a car?
I do, yeah. I think eventually, as you grow and kind of settle into Banff, you will want a vehicle just for the simple fact of getting around to certain activities. You want to go skiing, you want to go hiking. We talked, any kind of recreation that is outside of the town boundary kind of needs a vehicle in that sense. One project that kind of jumps out at me as we were discussing it is there's a project, I think, on Cougar Street where they're going to be building there's a big white building, used to have moss all over the roof.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the
it's
one
just down the
from
street
our
from
place,
us.
yeah.
And I
Okay.
think there's a proposed project to build a building around that existing building in the parking lot. So now you're talking about adding units in a space that was once used for parking, now adding residents, eliminating parking, and then adding more vehicles.
Okay,
right?
I'm not aware of that one. No, you'll have to point me out. Maybe I'll have to go take a look.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I might be wrong on this too. But I parked my car on Cougar Street and it's like, yeah, it's already pretty packed,
But the reality is this choice to reduce the parking impact, the intent of, I'm not saying I'm 100% behind it. I'm saying I'm cautioning as we go forward to see how it works. I'm hoping that if there's a problem with it, that we can address it at that time. But the reality is we weren't seeing any construction taking place. Now we're seeing some applications. So hopefully it creates the housing needs.
Right.
And is it trading one for the other? Absolutely it is. And,
Right.
At some point we're going to have to be careful. That's my caution, but I'm hoping that it doesn't become the issue that you're identifying.
Well, I mean, one way would be to implement that any new development would just have to have underground parking. I mean, a costly implementation.
It's costly, but what we were told is that ground conditions make it even more costly because of dewatering issues in certain parts of town.
Fair.
And that's stopping developers from proceeding with their development. The other thing that's happened is that by the time you get a park in you lose your floor area ratio. There's consequences to how that works on the overall site also.
Right.
So I understand the problem, and I agree with what you said, but at this point, I'm not going to call it a trial because it's the land use bylaw has been amended. But if there's some problems with it, I'm hoping, I've been reassured that we can always reopen the discussion if we were seeing additional problems with vehicle and parking, which is a concern.
Fair.
I'm hoping for the best, though.
It'd be a bit naive to think that everything we try will be successful, right? I mean, you don't get change without implementing. You don't get radical change without implementing.
And if you don't try,
stuff.
you don't know either. So we're trying it. I'll go with that.
And I think that's a big part of this is like showing that the town council members are all human too, just trying to make this place better, right? So
hey, I bike every day. I try my best. I take my truck only when I have to. Wow, sometimes I get lazy like everybody else.
Yeah.
It happens, I get a ticket too, hey, I got to be careful. You forget to put the pay parking pass in,
that's right.
You're in trouble, right?
Yeah, just like the rest of us.
So we're almost at the point here in town as far as housing goes where you're a frontline worker can almost not afford to live in town off of one paycheck alone, right?
Yeah.
Like you're seeing a lot of the frontline workers having to go the staff accom route. How do you respond to critics that say Banff is just becoming unlivable for the people that make it run?
Well, I hear that. I hear them. I can't argue with them. I don't think anyone should have to work multiple jobs to just to get by either. So I think wage is a big issue. I think council needs to tackle. I don't think we can dictate this, but certainly I would like to promote good wages in town, livable wages. That's something we all don't want to. There's no benefit otherwise. We don't want to end up with a situation where we're all slaves, right? So housing affordability, if we can create more housing, maybe that'll put some ease onto the rental. I'm not sure. Cost of construction is so high these days, it's hard to see how that's going to work, but I'm hoping for the best on that. So is the rest of council, I'm sure. I think people that cook, clean, teach, and keep Banff safe deserve a living wage.
I would agree with you there. I think these are the people that are feeling the squeeze the most. I don't know, especially from a housing perspective. Prices have never gone down.
No,
it's not just here though. I mean, when you look at rents in Calgary right now, it's actually terrifying to see that it's not just here that it's being, so it's getting harder and harder to find accommodation in town. That's the biggest problem.
And I mean, the other side of that is if you don't like it, don't live here, which is, it is a prime real estate area. There is no room for expansion. So I don't know.
Well, the job market too, right? Like it's just, most of the jobs here are frontline, base level jobs. It's not like there isn't a lot of industry. Like you can't just go, get a job at a factory making $50 an hour. You know what I mean? Like we just don't have that here. So it's kind of like we're still on that mindset that it's it's just an entry level position. It's well, if nobody did any of these in town, no one would be able to come here because there'd be nothing to do. How many restaurants do we have in town, right? The bulk of our job market is restaurant and hotels. So it's I get it that everywhere else that might be an entry level job, but here they're very much so needed, right? So
well, I always understood that.
Yeah.
There's everybody's there for a reason, and there's people that do jobs that you don't want to do, and thank God they're able to. And it's hard work. They're hard, labor-intensive jobs, and I'm sure people come home just exhausted from it. So
I've done housekeeping before. It is incredibly difficult and hard work. And we've already hit that point, right? I've read articles in the past of housekeeping staff being bussed into Lake Louise and to certain hotels in Banff from Calgary or from job placement agencies where I'm what quality of life is that for those people that have to travel an hour on a bus to come and clean people's, you know what I mean?
It might, at some point, I'm not too sure if I hear you. I was thinking about that the other day. What's the next thing? If we can't house them and if we have that much pressure, if we do go to the extra millions of visitors that are predicted to come here in the next 10 or 15 years, if there's no place for them to live, are they going to have to come by bus from Calgary? Are they going to have to come by train if we build a train?
Yeah, no doubt.
Is that a good thing? Maybe. Does that help? I don't know.
Or a housing barracks at Dead Man's
And is
Flats.
that what we want? Are we going to end up with a workforce? Those are concerns. I'm not too sure they're real. I'm just trying to talk.
100%.
The concept of it is that we would get the workforce we need, so that makes sense. But then, I'm not saying it's political, but if your workforce doesn't live here, how does that work from a needs and response
or a community standpoint?
How's community would deal with that, right? I'm not saying it's a huge number. It's existing already. And we have people from Cochrane traveling back and forth.
100%.
Canmore. I think I'm not too sure how many people would come by bus, but because that would be a hard start in the morning. So
no doubt.
I don't know. It's kind of these things of where do we go without addressing it, right? And these are things that maybe need to be discussed a little bit more.
I'm not too sure if that one fits in the next 10 years, though, but we'll see.
Yeah,
maybe it's part of the community plan. Maybe it's something to think about for Monday.
True.
Well, who was it saying that that's what they do in Colorado? They just ship people in from out of the town site because there's nowhere to live, right? Like it's such a popular ski town.
Yeah.
And there's so many people going through there that they just can't.
I don't think we're alone in this. I think it's the examples of that everywhere else. I mean, you were talking about over tourism yesterday or earlier, and places like Barcelona. There's a lot of places that experience it and this. But if you look at some of the stats per square foot, they have sometimes less people per square foot than we do. Like, so
someone posted this on, I think on Overheard. I saw this a couple of weeks ago where he's like, they posted the argument that Banff has more tourism than people in New York City based on square footage. If you take, right, like the tourism of New York City based on size, like our tourism numbers far exceeds New York City as far as
we're a lot better than them. That's all I can say. We could do a better job, right?
It was just to put it in perspective, like the numbers and the square footage that we deal with is pretty impressive compared to a lot of other destinations. So I think like we're not doing a bad job, but I think a little bit of awareness and a bit of looking forward could save us some grief down the way.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to limit Banff. I'm just saying we have to start looking at what we can manage, and I think that's on the table now, and it's going the right way. But it's an important thing to say.
What would you say to the critics? We kind of talked about it a little bit earlier about the rezoning in the Newtown plan that we're currently discussing. What would you say to the critics that those amendments are kind of a slippery slope towards expansion in Banff? That might be the ultimate goal.
I think that for me, I look at that one more into relations of some of the wording that's being used in the community plan about looking at lands outside the boundary for different reasons. I think those are not well connected that way yet. I think that's a discussion. But I don't think that what we did with our land use planning is a slippery slope. I think it's a question of how, it could be a slippery slope if things don't go as predicted. So parking be one of them. Too many cars. But I think we need to leave it open to rediscuss that if need be. So yes, I think some critics, the concerns are there. Mm-hmm. I don't think the critics are wrong, but we need to work with what we can because our priority has been with housing, and we're taking a chance, I think, on those things to see how it works. And I think truly the workers that need the space will appreciate that.
Fair. I think it's tough to please everyone, right? It's
a tough one.
Yeah. How do you give to one without taking from another, especially when we're dealing with limited space?
Goes back to when is enough and how big do we want to get?
Right.
But I think we have capacity for people. Again, move on.
Yeah. Right.
Fair. So if you do want to go give your input, when you said the next one is on next Monday, the 8th?
Yeah.
So the next community plan, which will help us govern the next 10 years, still being discussed. So you can go down and give your input.
Second public hearing.
There you go. So I plan on diving into it a little bit more. I haven't been to any of the hearings yet, but
I think you got till Friday to send your written submissions in, or your desire to speak, and you can do the morning of, or sending your notes ahead. But you can come as a speaker. You can come and send your information by writing or your questions.
Cool.
And or if you see me down the street, just ask me and I'll bring it up.
No doubt.
Right on. Well, that was kind of my next question was how can the average person have their voices heard by council? And I think that seems like
show up at the meeting, write us, or stop us on the street. And I think everyone on council will listen if you ask them. That's our job.
I do commend the council for being open and accessible. I've met with a lot of them, and now council members are reaching out, obviously, to come and do the show as we're leading into the election in the fall. And we open the door to anyone who wants to come. If you're running, if you're a current member of council, hopeful, shoot us a message. We'd love to have you on and just chat and let our townspeople get to know you a little bit more and what you stand for, because I think that's what we need to focus on moving forward so we don't end up in, say, a ped zone situation where we're trying to fight things after the fact. Elect the members that you want in council now. You can have the representation that you like. challenges, right? Being such a small town.
I love being a small town.
Right?
I think that's great that we're a small town. Even though we have that many people coming in, we're still a small town.
100%. What are some of the challenges you think of being kind of a small town with a huge budget?
Well, I'm going to leave the budget. I mean, obviously, we do well on the revenue side, but we also spend a lot. But your question is about the challenges in a small town.
Yeah.
I think living here is there's grocery store politics involved. You're walking down the street, you get accosted, you get asked, so you get informed that way. And I think that's best just to take it on, be there, be available, stop and listen and take notes and get back to people.
What would be your best advice to anyone who might be thinking of running for council coming up?
Do it for the community. Don't do it for your ego. Be ready to listen more than you think, and respect your colleagues, understand process, and embrace the learning, because you gotta have a learning curve, no question. I worked in municipal government for a lot of years, reporting to different councils, and I found it to be a learning curve as well. So don't feel scared, just be prepared.
Right.
I think a big thing, especially in politics and just in people in general, is admit it when you're wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Like accountability goes a long way.
I make a lot of mistakes. I say a lot of stupid things sometimes, and sometimes they get reported.
Well, that brings us on to our next question. You've had some legal troubles in the last year with your charges being formally withdrawn by the Crown. Speaking of mistakes, we just wanted to know if you had any additional comments or wanted to address the situation moving forward.
Well, I don't call that a mistake, but I'm going to say this. If you don't mind, I have a prepared statement because it's easier for me. I do recognize that members of the community may still have concerns. That's natural when an accusation this serious has been in the public eye. What I can say is that the charges have been withdrawn and the matter is behind me completely. My focus is now remains on serving Banff and working to the issues that matter to us the most.
Well said.
Well put.
Yeah, I think looking in a small town where people know you personally, how do you handle the criticism when it's not just online? I think like you're going out your door, you're having to face it every day.
I had my share of it, and I do, like the odd person, like Chris, it's hard to take sometimes. It stings.
Mm-hmm. With a small community too, right? Like you got such a connection with most of the people here.
Yeah.
Like when people disagree with you, that can hurt, right?
Well, I mean, I'm not perfect. I definitely have certain traits about me that are not always easy for people. I'm pretty direct and I just don't talk enough. But we have to separate personal things and not think of them as attacks, and just get back to the crux of it and just formulate a response, or at least take the notes and participate in trying to find a solution or redirect people or letting know what avenues they could have if it's not through you. I think it's important that when you get criticized that you take it at face value, because especially if these people are your friends, or even people that are not your friends, that you don't know they're your friends. They say it because they either noticed it or they want you to get better, or both.
Wow. So yeah, I think that's a pretty accountable route to take in my book, honestly. Very well said. Back to a little bit of like governance and council stuff. If you had it your way and could eliminate or add any piece of legislation to our town, what would it be and why?
Oh, that one I had a hard time with. I think all our legislations are, because they're required. I don't think there's any legislation that is totally awkward. I mean, we just talked about the legislation about housing and density and possibly parking. So that one could fit, but we need to try out first. So I don't have anything immediate. But maybe not a law, but maybe a mindset we may want to look at. I'm not too sure where everybody's at, but the thinking that we have no limits to capacity or allow how much taxes we can bring up. At some point, we should be looking at changes. They're not laws, but they're policies where maybe we should, in my personal opinion, or my opinion as a councillor, as a single councillor on this one, or maybe there's more on the table on that, revenues for paid parking should offset more of our transit operating costs.
Absolutely.
So it's not a law, but it's the way we're handling some of the costs that I would like to see change. And I'm going to continue to vouch for that and be creative about it. And I think at some point, some of those things may work out that way.
Awesome.
Nice.
This might be a little bit off topic, but how much funding, if any, do we get from the federal government as far as do we get any?
Yeah, project by project you do. I don't have any numbers in the top of my head, but
Because it seems strange to keep letting people into the premier national park for free almost every year. It's been like 4 years now, or at least someone's been let in for free.
no, I think this is new. Okay, so it happened a few years ago.
Yeah,
right.
Just during COVID. No, it was the centennial year.
Oh,
Since the centennial.
So, and then since then, this is the first time it got reintroduced. And
Was it the
it's
first time
mostly because of the
Canadians?
tariffs and the problems that we're having in the States right now.
right.
Okay.
So I think that's where it's at. It's caused a lot of concern at the table because, we don't need more people at this time of year. But I mean, it was an election promise by Mr. Carney, and he's acted on it. I mean,
It just seems wild that funding is an issue, yet they keep letting people in for free.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Well, the federal government's got their own budget. It's nothing, and that's, to me, that was a political decision at the federal level.
Fair.
As far as grant, we get lots of grants for different we have provincial grant. We have this huge housing grant that's helping us with more staffing and more reasons to help accelerate the housing fund. And so there's a lot of support there from different grants. There's provincial grants for community services, for mental health. There's a lot of different programs in town that benefit from federal and provincial funding.
Well, that's awesome. It was just kind of a side note. It just kind of popped in my head as we were discussing it. When people in town think of your legacy on the council, what would you hope they think about when they hear your name?
That I care, I listen, that I continue to work hard for them.
Awesome. Big question. Will you be running again in the next town council election?
I went camping for a couple of weeks just to figure out what I'm going to do next. And here on your show, my answer is yes, I am running. I'm running as a councillor.
Yes.
And I would like to build on my first term from my learnings. And just so you know, I'll be submitting my nomination papers later on this week.
Amazing. Well, congratulations.
My focus on the election will be housing, sustainability, supporting livable wages, and keeping Banff a home for residents. And I'm willing to fight for that. If not, who will?
Okay.
Well, I think, that is a huge issue for residents moving forward. Definitely. What are you most hopeful when you think about the future of Banff?
Keep our balance, keep our people, manage what we have the best way we can, be resilient. And I do believe that our best chapters still lie ahead.
Nice.
Amazing. Very, very good message and hopeful from Hugh moving forward. So thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. Hugh, is there anything you want to say in closing?
I'm easy to reach. Say hi. Give me some support. I'll be happy to talk to you.
Nice.
Absolutely. And I think, the main thing, we're all human. You know what I mean?
I'm more human than you.
We're all just trying to make this place better in the end. So, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to come and chat with us and diving into sensitive topics. We all just want a better Banff.
I think everyone that's in the game right now wants the same thing.
Okay.
And together, I think we can achieve it.
Absolutely. I think one of the big takeaways I took from last week, especially speaking with Peter, was I posted a clip of him where he says, it's something like sorry if I'm misquoting it. He's like, he was seen as disloyal by asking tough questions.
Mm.
And I think that we need tough questions asked from our council members. And I think a variance in philosophies in our town council is a positive, not a negative thing.
Oh, for sure.
So that's what I'm keeping in mind moving forward as I'm meeting all the candidates. and selecting who I'll be
I
going
somewhat
forward.
follow that philosophy, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. So join us next week. We're going to be diving into more guests. We got more town council stuff coming up. If it's your first time joining us, thank you again for tuning in, and give us a like and subscribe. Stay tuned for Hugh and his campaign coming to you shortly. And yeah,
See you next Tuesday.
We'll see you next Tuesday,
guys. Thank you so much.